All right, everyone. We got a special guest here today, Cyberdack. Me and Cyberdack. We probably put down, I'd probably say about 50 to 100 games somewhere in between there together. A
Really
lot.
that many?
You think that many or not that many?
I'm not sure if we've quite hit 100, but
Yeah.
maybe over 50, maybe.
I think maybe more like somewhere between 50 and 75, and it's mostly been this more of this old school format here, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. So, but yeah, we've spent some time gaming together, and just chatting and laughing and play testing and just or just testing our decks and just enjoying Netrunner together. So we got a little bit of history as far as that goes. And so when Cyberdack was table 2 here on the for the original core set, was in second place at this time, and actually, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but as of this beginning of this, he was at second place, and he was playing to potentially get somewhere between first and third. And I asked him, could I come on and commentate? And I attempted to commentate that, and it was just a day where my mind was moving slow, and I was just like, it felt like it was a terrible job commentating. So I said, instead of me doing that, let's just run it back, and we do it again some other time, me and Cyberdack. So that's what we're doing here today. But before we get to the game, I'm going to turn it over to Cyberdack just to tell y'all a little bit about himself. So when y'all see him out there on gentechie.net, y'all know a little bit more about Cyberdack. So hey, welcome, Cyberdack. I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, well, thanks. Like Spray said, I've been playing just a few games against him. I'm not really like a person in the Netrunner community per se. I don't have any claims to fame, but I've been playing the game now since technically since 2010, actually, or 2011. Technically, someone introduced me to the original Netrunner card game, and they actually told me about how there was a lot of licensing problems with getting the game published, despite the fact that it had gained an apparent cult following. I mean, this guy was introducing me to it, and I thought it was really cool. I love the cyberpunk aesthetic, of course, and everything. And then flash forward a year or two later, I just walk into a game store, and all of a sudden I see a box that says Android Netrunner, and I was like, the Mad Lads, they did it. So I went ahead and bought it pretty much on the spot. And even though I didn't really have the money for it, I don't think, I was like a broke kid just out of high school. And I tried to get my head around the rules and like figure it out, played it a little bit with my friends, anyone that was willing to sit down with it with me. Eventually it just ended up back on the shelf, and I kind of forgot about it for the next 4 years or so. And then I was at a tabletop game day event, that Will Wheaton holiday, and just hanging out with a friend, and we were up pretty late, and I saw a demo of Netrunner on the shelf, and I was like, hey, I kind of remember this game. I remember it being fun. And rereading the rules, figuring it out with my friend, and I was like, actually, this game is awesome. I wonder if anyone plays it on a competitive level, because I had kind of become more familiar with like that whole competitive scene with Magic. So I was like, is there anything like that for this? And then come forward again, I met some people who played regularly at a different game store, ironically, and there were 3 of them, so I became the 4th, and that was perfect because now he had 2 pairs basically every week. And it really, really quickly escalated from there to the point where I bought the entire series. I was playing in tournaments, traveling with the friends that I'd met while I was living in Boise, Idaho at the time. So I traveled to Seattle, Portland, Utah, a lot of Salt Lake City trips where we went to tournaments. And I just instantly became like a tournament grinder, played it a lot. My best performances early on was like I got, I think, 4th place at a Utah store championship that had somewhere around 30 odd players, so I was pretty proud of that. Got a Leela playmat for my troubles. Traveled to the Minnesota for 20 17 world championships, if I remember correctly. So the one right before Magnum Opus, and ended 155th place out of the 300 some odd players there. So that was cool. And yeah, best ever result in terms of just what it was like a 10-ish person regional right at the end of the life of the game. I came in first, so I got the nice little glass trophy they were giving out for that with Cabanesa Woo on it. And then, yeah, after the game died, I kind of took a hiatus backseat. Sorry, this is longer than you were hoping, but and then found out about Nisei. I kind of kept an eye on it, and then discovered through Reddit that there was this green level clearance community on Discord. And then once I was in there, I was just a lot more motivated to start playing again. Really enjoyed the modded format, which will soon be replaced by System Gateway. And then I found out about this Retrunner tournament, as they call it, where we play the old-fashioned meta game, and been participating in that, having a good time. And that's where we're at now.
Absolutely. So you got back into the game around 2014, 2015 then from that original stint? Is that about the time frame?
2016 was when I started playing the game on a competitive level.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So you're actually getting to go back and experience some of that you missed with the Retrunner here, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I definitely missed out on the first 4 years of the game. When I started playing competitively, it was right before the article that, for anyone who was around at that time, is right before the article that, what's his name? The Big Boy wrote, where he unveiled his Edward Kim deck that he called the One-Armed Ice Feast, which later became the Wizard deck that was like the bane of Corp's existence. It ran Faust, Forked, Knifed,
Dumble Fork.
The Dumble Fork deck. So he had the prototype. I think most people would agree, credit where it's due, that he came up with that archetype, or at least he was the first person talking about it openly on the internet. I'm sure there were probably playtest groups that had kind of figured it out. So that's actually the proto Dumble Fork, the Edward Kim deck, is what I took to Seattle. And that was also one of the bigger tournaments I ever played in terms of number of participants. And I almost made it to a top 8 finish. I just blundered really badly because I was still brand new to competitive metagaming. I just had this like blunder where I lost to a psychographic Spiel, and that knocked me out of contention. But I almost was in like the top 16 or top 8. I was definitely in the higher end of the tables up until that round, and then the round after that, I think I just got swept or something. I forget. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I've been playing with somebody who's got more experience than me, which is how you get better. So I appreciate you taking the time with a with a noob like me, and I've had a great time playing with you. So anyway, this is the game right here, though, and again, the solution was, well, the chance was if Frizzler split and you swept, you'd get second. Right. If Frizzler got swept, then you would, and you swept, you'd get first. Yep. Is what needed to take place. And if you split, and they split, then you would have got third, because SOS, I believe, is kind of scenario.
I think I might have still ended up in second if we both split, because I think that the person. Well, actually, and I guess it would have determined. Well, no, because he was we're at this position. I was playing the 9th ranked player, I think, and he was playing the 2nd rank.
Yep.
And so and I assume it's a he, but so they, I guess, and the person in second, each had this. There were 3 players with 15 points.
Yep.
So whatever happened at their table, if Frizzler swept and I split, then I'm guaranteed second. If he splits and I split, then he would still be he'd have the most points, and so he'd guarantee first, and then it's a toss up whether I would be second or third against his opponent.
Yeah. Yeah, I just
But
assume I
yeah,
just
so yeah.
assumed that if Brogue Leader, who was third, ended up
Yeah.
playing first and sweeping, then he probably would have had the stronger strength of schedule since you played all the way down to the ninth player. But I could
Oh
be
yeah,
doing my
yeah,
math
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. So if Frizzler got swept and I split, I see what you're saying. Then yeah, I think I'd still be second.
Yeah.
So I needed a sweep to even have a chance at first, and I needed Frizzler to have some pretty bad luck in order to guarantee first. I'd say
Yeah,
to see
absolutely.
him get swept would be a very surprising upset. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a reason why you all are up there at the top, right? And it definitely probably you probably didn't lose any runner games to get to the top up there. I have a feeling. So, but yeah.
Nope.
So
Yeah.
so absolutely. All right. Well, we are going to let's see what happens then, and basically we've got MBN versus Criminal here, and I'm going to press play. And again, this is my first time commentating with anybody else, and it's my like third time commentating. So excuse us if we're jumping over each other, but I think we can do a pretty good job here. So press and play. Let me know you see everything all right there.
Yeah, it's looking good. I fully expect, if there's just I'm more here to kind of answer the questions, things don't make sense. It's a shame, I guess, that our hands weren't face up. I think, I don't know who created, if I think it was Bahram Wu here who created the room. So, but that's okay. I'll try to remember what was in my hand, but yeah, it's a little more of a guess as to what I was thinking on some of these plays.
Yeah, one thing I like about the hands down is I can a lot of times I'll say I bet the account save is about to come out and it'll pop out and I feel really smart at that moment. So that's one plus of the hands down here.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean at this point, let's see, he got an ice out there on headquarters, which is the right thing to do against Criminal, obviously, and then he's got a card there. I can't remember exactly what that card was there, but I guess we'll see in a second.
Yeah, if I'm remembering right, it's I think it's probably just a pad campaign. If it's not pad campaign, then it's San City Grid.
Yep,
Oh,
that's a great
so
start
yeah.
for you there.
Yep. Seeing Hunter on HQ is a kind of a sigh of relief because it basically means that there's nothing in front of HQ as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, it makes an account siphon kind of tricky because you can always boost the trace. But that's still going to be a good play on my part because I can access HQ instead of playing the siphon if he goes too low on creds. And I'm still getting Gabe's ability. I'm still getting the access, and I'm only spending one click on the tags. Whereas if he lets me take advantage of a siphon, I got to spend the next 3 clicks clearing the tags, one for the hunter and the 2 on the siphon.
Yep. And once you get the crash space out, that alleviates that cost a little bit. Just you take care of the click, so you're still
Yeah.
getting through for 4 credits but 3 clicks though, so it's still not the end of the world. Especially
Yeah,
if
crash.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
especially if you can break them, right? Like if he's on 6 credits and you can get him down to 1, then it was well worth it, even though you spent a turn and didn't get it quite as efficient as you wanted to with that account siphon.
Yeah. And I'll have to say, like, I think I got pretty lucky here too to nab that AstroScript. I think one of the biggest advantages to playing NBN in the original core set is AstroScript and Breaking News. The combination of that agenda suite makes it possible to basically fast advance out. Because Lord knows it's practically impossible to advance an agenda traditionally against the runner in this environment. So
Yeah.
nabbing that early is like it basically cuts off the possibility of losing to something like that. So right now, I think my primary concern is Sea Source Scorched Earth or Breaking News Scorched Earth.
Yep. And like you said, the percentage of you winning once you snag that Astro script is super, goes up a lot just off of that right there. But
Yeah.
the chance that he actually rolls astroscript, breaking news is like a 1 in 40 chance, just about, of getting the cards out in the perfect order before they get snagged anyway. Kind of like Wayland. The chance you get everything you need at the beginning for they set everything up is just like, it's really low odds, in this original core set format.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, like, it can always happen, so it's a concern. But like, yeah, even best case scenario, it's not particularly likely, unfortunately. I mean, you've probably said it before if you've done other recordings for videos, like the original core set metagame is so runner favored. Like I said at the beginning too, like if you're at the top tables, basically guaranteed you never dropped a game um, as runner. And like, yeah, there's sometimes you can just get a little unlucky, not seeing the right cards in the right order, and the corporation just gets all the tools they need to put you in a forked position where you're screwed one way, you're screwed the other. But more often than not, the runner's so advantaged, I'd say there's generally no excuse to drop a runner game, unless you're just a little inexperienced, and that's understandable. But yeah, once you've
Exactly.
played this format a bit, it's nearly impossible to lose runner side.
Yep, good criminal deck with a good pilot is, like you said, it's probably a 1 in 60 game chance of losing, just about, if you had to flesh it out really in probability terms. But now at this point, you've kind of just bounced around, making him res, kind of getting the layout of the ice, and now you got your crash space out. So I know you're already feeling real good at this point in the game, huh?
Yeah, like I said, the biggest thing I have to fear is Sea Source, Scorched Earth, and with a single crash space out rather. As long as I keep my cards in hand up to 5 at the end of a turn, um, uh, it's going to be impossible for him to kill me that way. And if I can keep my credit limit up, just in general too, it's going to be hard for him to even really threaten me. Even if I stumbled into something like a snare on my third click, say, that might open a window for him. But he's also got to be able to contest my credits, and keep me out of his servers. There's just too many threats for him to deal with. And now with the crash space, like, I just don't die to something like breaking news, Scorched Earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only way you lose is if you leave a fully advanced breaking news over for one turn, which everybody, an experienced player in original core knows you cannot leave with Wayland and MBN. You cannot leave a double advanced, card in a server. So as long as you know that, there's like no way they can wipe you out. But if he did have a fully advanced breaking news, he could on the next turn trash your crash space and then double scorch you. Right? That's like your only threat.
Yeah, that's true. So it's narrowed down to double advanced news. He scores it, I take the tags, and then he could kill me. He'd also need the 6 credits for that and everything.
Yep.
And actually 8 credits, 2 to trash crash space, and the 6 for the 2 scorched earths. But he's got to draw that entire combination of cards and everything.
Exactly.
So yeah, the game's not necessarily over, but I can breathe a lot easier with the first crash space down. And
for sure.
so he very smartly over here, and I just want to point out, he res Sand City Grid. He pumped into the trace and left himself just enough credits to res the grid and turned it on, leaving his credit pool at 0. That's probably the best case scenario. And if I'm being honest, I kind of didn't quite think through the fact that he had that option to kind of turn on Sand City Grid and dodge the siphon. But even if I had thought it through, I think it probably still was the right play to play siphon in that spot, because him going broke, it's just still a really strong advantage for me. Like a res Sand doesn't do that much if you don't have any credits to score agendas with anyway. So
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And you ended up getting an agenda out of it. But even if you didn't, like you said, if you keep NBN broke, and like I've said multiple times, NBN has the only way NBN has enough money to beat you is if they get a Melange Mining Corp out for at least like 3 turns, right? They need, if they don't, they have no way to make enough money to do what they want to do hardly. You know what I mean? So you
yeah.
and but
No,
yeah,
yeah.
I was scrolling up and down in the list here trying to figure out what happened with that account siphon. And then probably about now in the recording, I realized that, oh, he rezzed that Sansan and left him no money. And that's why you bounced out of the account siphon. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about where I like, man, this is terrible commentary here. We're going to do this over again.
Yeah. Yep. So right here, I just go, you know what? I'm sick of this hunter. Like, yeah, it's practically blank, but I don't want to, always have to deal with the tag, like more than anything. So I don't know if maybe like long term, it might have been smarter to just kill the wall of static, because that's actually what's keeping me out of the server unless I break it. But with just a wall of static in front and the hunter gone, it's not costing me that extra click to run HQ. So that's a big difference.
It is. And I think 2 credits for wall of static is highly reasonable to get into headquarters, right? So I think that's the right
Yeah, especially as Gabe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
all right, so here's Score's
yeah.
Astra script, and it's a little bit disconcerting. I'm not gonna lie, but again, the fact that I have one of the Astros means that like he has to find the third Astro, score that, then he can, and with Sansan out, he can score what's it called, the private security force.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that could be a problem. But here's where I decide, if I check on R&D every turn, that's never going to be an option for him. And the only thing keeping me out of there is Matrix Analyzer, which is about as good as Hunter in the fact that it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But I lucked out and just saw, the 3-pointer off the top and one right away. So
yeah, you were snagging good that game, that's for sure. You were snagging those agendas like you needed to. So
yeah, I'd say that even though Corp is always disadvantaged in this particular game, I probably even got luckier than normal runner side to just see that many agendas that quickly.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, you had everything set up for the most part, and there really wasn't a lot going for them at that point. So you were in the position you needed to be to play that conservative and make sure you didn't get killed and just ride it to the end, right? Most of the time that's what you can do in the original core. Like you said, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, they've got plenty more cards out there to enhance on this. So I actually enjoyed identifying all the nuances that were in the original core with their good and their bad, and seeing that.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, I guess, to see like the lessons that can be gleaned from a game design perspective about what to kind of do with the core set. And I think that Nisei, the organization running the game now, has done a really, really strong job of recognizing like what kind of cards, especially corp side, are kind of needed to provide counterplay to runner side threats. Because yeah, they really just kind of just didn't know what they had on their hands with this original core set with FFG.
Absolutely. And right here, this is the fact that Ba did as well as he did with Shaper, is pretty impressive. But as soon as I saw Shaper, I was like, oh, there's a chance. It is so amazing. Even in me playing with the new card pool here, it is so amazing the difference there is in playing a criminal deck with inside jobs and account siphons and you having to double ice your remotes and all that before you even get a chance to, push cards versus a Shaper where, they're playing the long game and you can start pushing cards earlier. It's just a totally different feel, and it's just tough playing Crim versus Shaper.
Yeah, criminal has way too many threats. So seeing any non-criminal identity in the original core set across the table is a breath of fresh air, because like you make the play like I did right here, where I just don't even ice HQ. That would just be absurd. Now, I mean, I'm still taking a gamble that he's not a Kate that splashes for Siphon.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it was too feasible. And then as soon as he played the wild side too, I was like, okay, like almost 100% he's not on Siphon.
Yeah.
I just don't think you're spreading your influence that thin.
That's what I thought too. I thought that was a cool include for him to get that wild side out, though. It definitely speeds up Kate a little bit in the original core.
Yeah, I think it's a smart tech. And then, of course, with the ASOP, you can always sack it as soon as you need the clicks back, whatever's more important. And this is like, honestly, kind of like it's scary and impressive from him that it's just he's scaling up his rig this quickly and really just getting on the board. That's the advantage that Shaper has. Meanwhile, on my side, I'm more than happy to kind of let him set himself up, because at the end of the day, he's still going to have to, start being able to threaten runs. And now that I'm up on over 20 creds, thanks to the melange sitting out there, turn over turn, I'm really just in a position to kind of like create threats of my own. And that's the reason I was playing Wayland in this tournament, is that Wayland has the most proactive game plan besides NBN, I think. But the advantage that Wayland has over NBN is its econ.
Yeah.
It's just so much stronger. Beanstalk royalties is a huge difference just on its own, and not to mention the identity gaining you that extra cred on all your hedge funds and the Beanstalks, of course. So, the threats are stronger, and you're not splashing for the Scorch, you're splashing for Sea Source, so it's a cheaper splash. You spend more influence elsewhere on things like snares. So that's I'm the biggest advantage, I think, seeing a Shaper on the other side of the table is that it's they have to have spent influence on Crash Space, or else they really just kind of have no countermeasure against Scorched Earth.
Exactly.
Off of the agenda. What is it called? Posted bounty.
Yeah.
So
totally right. No, I totally agree, and that's what I was paying attention to. I was like, I wonder if they splash for that Crash Space or Decoy. Decoy will get it done too, just as good. And but I like the ability to remove those, have that money for removing tags as well from the Crash Space. So, but either one of them will basically cause it to be really tough for you to pull out the victory with the kill option. But yeah, right here, you're definitely in a great place with the money. I saw this happening, and I'm like, I'm not seeing any Crash Space. I was like, so you're saying there's a chance, is what I was thinking at this point in the game here.
mm-hmm. Here's where I can't remember exactly what was going on with that agenda in server 1. I might have made a mistake. If that's private security force, then one advancement's fine. It might have been a posted bounty, and I noticed that on my last turn, on my last click, I gained a credit instead of double advancing it. I'm not totally sure why I would have done that, unless it's private security force, and I'm just misremembering the order the cards came out in.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, because I thought you slow rolled a posted bounty at some point too. So, but I'll hold that off, because that's going to be spoiler alert there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess so. now here, I mean, I just stone cold lucked out. He slammed headfirst into the Archer. No pipeline or mimic or anything that could deal with it. So here, I decided to target Magnum Opus. Reason being, I have a massive credit lead on him, and Magnum Opus is one of the best ways for him to close that lead.
Mm-hmm.
So I went ahead and tried to kill that. He had the sacrificial construct, so I could choose one breaker, or I could choose Magnum Opus, and I thought Magnum Opus made more sense, because I'm not really going to win by trying to lock him out of the central servers. I don't think. I think if his deck is any good, it's probably got things like maybe Femme Fatale in it, that could leverage. Like if that's his only copy a Gordian blade and he doesn't have a third, maybe there's something to be said for doing that.
It was just like I said. You put that
Yeah.
there, and then you was able to, I believe, advance it again that turn. Wait a second. Hang on. Let me
Yeah,
rewind
let's
this.
rewind a
Let me
bit.
rewind. Luckily, I can here. Let's rewind this and see what happened here, because here we go. It's still on the board, and it's his last click here. Yeah, this was like out of nowhere. Another example of I wasn't paying attention. All of a sudden, the game's over. I'm like, what just happened? So yeah, you did a double. You did 2 advancements there and
Yeah.
turned it back over to him. So you got it up to 3. And this is just an example of him, I believe, saying, I think he even admits, I wasn't thinking about that. Like anytime you're seeing something with a bunch of advancements in original core, you just got to go for it. You know what I'm saying? You just got to. Because there's only.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't going to be able to get in anyway. So, to his credit, like, but I think that the right play on his turn would have been to run server 1 with the intention of getting in.
Did you have the C source in hand? Do you remember?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have
he
mattered
screwed.
then. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but if you're gonna lose the game, you have to play to your only out, and his only out was, I don't have C source in hand, and he can get in the server 1 and steal that agenda. But the advanced posted bounty, and I realized actually early, just a moment ago, I was commentating saying not sure why I didn't double advance it. It's because I forgot that the first click was actually spent finishing scoring the hostile takeover. And then I only had 2 clicks left, so I installed and advanced it once. Yeah, and then the turn came back to me. That's when I put 2 more advancements on it, gained a credit, and said, like, you either get this and also somehow gain 10 extra credits, or the game's over right here. So
you basically won the game off a click blunder, which I make click blunders all the time. They never turn out that good, I assure you.
What I'm saying is I actually don't think I messed up the turn where I advanced it. I thought I had another click, but I realized I didn't, because I had to spend the click to install the posted bounty.
I got you. Yeah.
So it might have actually, well, no, because I gained so much money off of the hostile takeover. I think, so never mind. I think what I did was correct. I think there may be a tiny argument to say that I should have just installed posted bounty and advanced it twice and threatened the win on the very next turn. But I feel like there's a lot of things that could go wrong.
Sure.
In that situation.
Yeah, and I mean, that is for me, what you did right there is my favorite play in the original core, right? It's what I really want to see happen. Like, it's like the funnest play is to fork the runner, right? To throw out a double advanced card in there, and if they run on it and get it, I get to kill them with the Sea Scorched, and if they don't run on it again, I get to post a bounty and scorch them, right? I mean, that is just the most beautiful play ever. The problem is it never hardly happens. So kudos to you to pulling that off on camera, because again, that's one of my favorite plays there. So
Bahram Wu, he played really well. I think I definitely had a little bit of luck on my side, in addition to everything, other metagame advantage. Like, I was definitely playing the best runner. I don't think NBN has a really strong chance against Gabriel. But it's hardly any worse than any of the other corp chances.
Yeah.
But then switching sides, I think that, like we were saying, seeing a Shaper, they're not splashing for craft space, they're not splashing for siphon. It's just too hard to contest Wayland's threats as Shaper, I think. On top of that, like I was just saying, I had practically a god draw, where I had an early Melange behind Ice Wall. I drew Hostile Takeover as one of the first agendas and scored it right away, and that enabled me to res the Archer, and then right after that I found Posted Bounty, had the Sea Source and 2 Scorched Earths in hand. I mean, it was just kind of
that's
absurd.
Unreal. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Well, with that sweep there, though, that ended up putting you in second place, right behind Frizzler with actually the same points. Y'all both ended up with 21 points, and he beat you on strength of schedule just barely, I believe. So a great tournament, well played. You took basically the same decks I had and did a lot better than me. All I did was runner. All I did was basically runner split the whole tournament, so mad respect there, and I'm really excited about the next card pool. I've already been playing around with it. Have you spent any time with it yet?
With the next meta, not really. Actually, I'm under practiced, a little under prepared. So yeah, I should probably definitely get on it. But I'm curious to see where things go. I think that with the introduction of Ash and Project Vitruvius, Hosbioroid becomes significantly more viable as the de facto best deck corpse side. It's still lacking a lot of the tools that really made like food coats, as they used to call it, what it was. Or what did they
Yep.
call it before that? Red coats, I
Yeah.
think, before
Yep.
food came out. So you know, but the fundamental ideas are kind of there already. Uh, you just have that really strong fast advance option in HB and the econ to back it up with the latent ability.
Yep.
But I'm not totally sure if it's really so much stronger than Wayland's game plan, which pretty much stays the same, but now it just has a little bit more ice to work with, a little bit more economy cards, and it can splash for Ash too.
True. Yeah, I don't know because now you add in Plascrete, and I didn't see that much added to Wayland to the point where I flipped over to HB, and I can confirm what you're saying. To me, HB against the other factions, I think you're looking at probably like a 1-2 win rate, right? Probably, just because of the bad draw and stuff like that with the corp. I think you're looking at like every 2 games you can probably get one, and I think with Crim though, unfortunately, I think you're talking about like 1-3. Maybe I might have not played,
If
the
that,
best deck yet, and it might be
yeah.
closer to 1-4, but it's definitely a lot better than what it was in original core. I can tell you that. I've been playing around, and I'm definitely been winning against Crim probably about like I said, about 1 out of every 3 games, which gives me enough hope to feel like that's the route I'm gonna go this time, because that kill option just in the last tournament, I don't know what happened. I was pulling it off all the time at first, and I think my mind just like got shut down with it, playing it so much that I could never find that kill again, man. I don't know. So I'm taking a little break from Wayland, and I'm gonna run HB. And on the runner side, I really love that Shaper stem shop, but I just feel like it's too slow. So at this point, that's what I've been practicing with. But I'm debating really hard in myself whether I want to go forward with it because it's just fun, or do I want to switch over to Crim last minute and actually, put myself in the best chance to win. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm
Yeah, it
at
all
right now.
depends on your goals, I guess. Did you say Plascrete's in the pool? I forget if it's in the
Yeah,
card pool.
Plascrete's in the pool, which puts
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, the Wayland deck is practically off the table then.
yeah,
I don't think it has any legs, not without Project Atlas, which doesn't come out till later, right?
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so yeah, HB is still almost definitely the corporation to play.
Jinteki
Maybe
PE.
you can play like an NBN deck, considering that Ash benefits from the making news ability.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still pretty iffy.
that's true.
Is that
It's
because? Yeah, well, I was gonna say the only thing is that it has to be an NBN fast advance. I don't think you can play an NBN kill.
not,
Um,
yeah, and Bill comes out the last 3 packs, so that's whenever, and then Jinteki RP gets Ronin in the last 3 packs. So I'm pretty much going to run HB this time, and then pick up with probably RP on the next one because I really want to get into some Jinteki this run through. But yeah,
mhm.
it's one of those things where I really do believe at this point HB is probably going to give you the most consistent wins, but the other ones are definitely, they're definitely got some stuff going for them. It's just a matter of like which one can give you the most consistent at this point, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm ready to move on from just the core set meta. Just if there's any possibility that corp side win percentage goes up at all, I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, it
It's
should.
it's kind of a bummer to just split all day.
For sure. Yeah, it should go up just a little bit, I think. And again, PE is amazing against like that's what I was saying. I've been playing like everything against all these different corps, and any other runner against the corpse is like manageable. You feel like you can possibly pull this out, but as soon as you slap Crim in there with their aggressive up front, making you res all your ice, making inside jobs, you got to get your remote set up with more than one ice and all that. It just turns into just like too much to get done in too little time, and the Crim has to have bad draw, and you got to have good draw for you to get those wins so often, so
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But anyway, that's what's coming up, so I'm excited about that. Get up with me, Cyberdack. We can get to practicing on this next card pool. It's sign-ups this Sunday, and congratulations on the tournament once again, and I was glad we was able to sit down and do this together, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you bringing me on. Enjoy doing commentary. I feel like I might have talked even more than you did after all. So,
Well,
sorry
you're a lot
for
better than
stealing
me
your
at it.
thunder.
You did a lot better than me at it. I was like, this guy's amazing at this. So that's pretty cool. I might have to get you back on and just sit back and let you do the talking.
Maybe. I mean, I had a little bit of practice back in the day. I did one or two tournament live stream coverages. So that was a lot of fun when those were happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be cool to see where things go. I guess maybe by the time this is up on your channel, I might have a video on my own channel. It's going to be some of the first rounds of the same tournament that we just commentated over. So some more commentary from me, just kind of hopefully providing insight as to why I'm making the play decisions I am. And I hope that the GLC community in particular, with as many new players as there are, can really benefit from, the experience I have. I'm not saying I'm a great player or anything, but I've been around the ring a few times with this game, so hopefully the insight provided can better your own gameplay in the future. And then if you and I are playing on JNet, I hope it creates a more interesting game.
For sure. No, definitely. Hey, when you get those videos up, shoot me a link and I'll slap them in the description of this video here so folks can find them. And I look forward to watching them as well. That's why I kind of do what I do too, is just to let people hear my thought process, even though it might not always be the best, but just working it out. So for some newer players, right? So I look forward to that. But anyway, I'll let you go, and like I said, hit me up in the near future.
Yeah, man. Thanks again. I'll catch you next time.
Yep, later.